The board and senior management of Eskom in the hot seat today. They were being grilled by Parliament's Standing Committee on Public Accounts, that's SCOPA, to explain the ongoing power cuts. My colleague, fellow eNCA and reporter, Heidi Giokos, following that story for us. She's joining us now live this hour. Good afternoon, Heidi. Thank you very much for your time this hour. Well, tell us what happened in this meeting.
Yes, indeed, Brian. I don't want to get into too much detail with regards to what happened with one of the board members of Eskom walking out, because I do have the CEO of Eskom, Andre de Ruyter, who will not be speaking on that matter, but rather operational and other issues that have been touched on. But as you know, SCOPA has gone to Medupi and Kusile Power Station yesterday and the day before, and today they were briefed by the executive with regards to certain issues that they raised. One must remember that they did do a site visit in 2019 raising certain issues, so this was almost a follow-up to see if those issues have been addressed. But let's get more clarity from the CEO of Eskom, Andre de Ruyter. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for your time, Mr. de Ruyter. We do appreciate it. Let's just start off with the fact that SCOPA has concluded its oversight visit. It's raised a number of issues, and just ending off the visit, SCOPA's chair said they do not want Eskom to fail, and as an executive you must be held accountable for what's actually going on here. Can you assure South Africans and the committee that the issues that have been raised in 2019 are being dealt with and our power stations will start operating as they should?
Yes, first of all, of course, SCOPA is charged with oversight of public entities. We understand that and we respect their role and we take their role very seriously. And that is why we've made available our time and resources to assist them in this oversight visit. We have given them feedback on a number of issues that they've raised. We have presented today a 61-slide presentation containing a number of details on all of the issues that they've raised. Where additional issues have been raised, we will now provide feedback to SCOPA on that. So I think the scrutiny is good. We understand we work with public money. We understand that we are subject to parliamentary oversight, and we are more than willing to open ourselves up to any degree of scrutiny and to assist also in enabling SCOPA to do its work properly, because ultimately that's in the public interest.
Another big issue that was raised here by SCOPA is the fact that we still have load shedding, and I've interviewed you many times before where I've asked you this question: when will South Africans no longer have to deal with load shedding? And we do know that there are a number of factors that need to be at play here for load shedding to never happen again. But we do know load shedding has been suspended for now. Maybe just take us through that and how constrained the system actually is at this point, and when we can actually see the end of load shedding, because is it going to be in the next year, in the next 5 years? Are you even able to ascertain when that could possibly be?
So the system is indeed still constrained. We've got 5,584 megawatts out on planned maintenance as we speak, and on unplanned maintenance just north of 15,000 megawatts. Now, the unplanned maintenance, of course, is an indicator of a system that is not reliable and not predictable, and that is what gives rise to load shedding. We are doing our level best to catch up with overdue maintenance, but this is a time-consuming process, and ultimately what we need is more generation capacity to be added to the grid. That is why we welcome the Department of Mineral Resources and Energy's efforts to procure additional electricity. Of course, Eskom cannot procure its own capacity. That is done on our behalf by the DMRE, and that should add about 5,000 megawatts to the grid in the next 3 to 5 years. Now, that is a long time to finally get us off the hook of load shedding as a country. And therefore, what we need to do in order to navigate the constraints that we've got, first of all, to use electricity sparingly, to become more efficient. But then secondly, from an Eskom perspective, we will continue to do our maintenance. We will continue to do the best that we can to enable rapid addition of new generation capacity to the grid. That is our number one priority. We're not trying to protect a monopoly here. we are trying to provide electricity and enable the provision of electricity to the country.
And just lastly, Mr. de Ruyter, maybe just tell us what the week ahead looks like. You are saying the system remains constrained. What does that mean for the week ahead?
So for the weekend, we should be fine. Demand typically is lower over the weekend. The dams are looking quite good. Our pumped storage, it's a very important part of our reserves to help us cater for any unplanned outages. Our diesel levels should recover quite well over the weekend as well, so we should start the week with our reserves in place. However, we do have a number of known risks that we are operating with. Boiler tube leaks, vibrations on turbines, issues like that we can manage by running at slightly lower loads. But of course, if these issues exacerbate and they become worse over the coming week, then unfortunately the risk of load shedding remains with us.
Very unfortunate, but thank you so much for your time. We do appreciate it. That is the CEO of Eskom, Andre de Ruyter, just giving us an update on what exactly we can expect in the week ahead, and also that oversight visit by SCOPA. Brandon, I just want to end off by saying that we couldn't ask the CEO with regards to what actually transpired. That question possibly should be posed to SCOPA as well as board member Busi Mavuso as to why she decided to leave. But if I can just quickly contextualize what happened. Certain questions were posed to the board with regards to, some of the issues that need to be addressed here at Eskom, and the board member indicating that these are long-standing issues, there are politics at play, and SCOPA is saying, but what are the solutions? Let's not speak about political parties and politics. We need to understand what some of the solutions are going to be to deal with these issues. And then it actually just, it just transpired into quite an intense argument, and then she was told to either behave or excuse herself, and she said, I will rather excuse myself, and this is when she decided to walk out of the SCOPA Eskom meeting.
Well, we do have that bite of that heated exchange. Heidi, thank you very much for ending your crossing to us, that interview with Andre de Ruyter. And, of course, that heated exchange taking place between Busisiwe Mavuso, who's a member of the Eskom board, and the chairperson of SCOPA, that's Mkhuleko Hlengwa, beginning, of course, when Mavuso insisted that the current challenges at Eskom were due to the failures of the ANC. Hlengwa was not pleased with that response. Let's bring you now that interaction. Take a listen.
I speak on Andre's behalf. Andre will openly avail himself and comply and cooperate with whatever investigations that might actually need to be done. But what we will not accept and what we will not agree to, in spite of all the challenges that we're facing as an organization and all the efforts that have been put in place, is to have this board and Andre as the fall guy for the mess that this organization is currently experiencing. Because the reality of the matter is that this is not our mess. We have been brought in to clean it up, but we are not going to be the fall guy for the 300 and whatever billion of Midupi and Kusile that have still not been completed. Doing our best to try and finalize those projects. And as Andre said, we have committed that we will avail ourselves to be held accountable chairperson to ensure that Kusile is finished by 2023. But everything else, honestly, we cannot be the fall guy for this ANC-led government.
We had a decent interaction with the chairperson of this board over 2 days. He had the common courtesy to accompany us to where we are going. He has had the common courtesy to attend all the meetings that we have had. So we're not going to come now at midstream of our oversight of Eskom, which began in earnest in 2019, for these kind of theatrics. I just won't stand for it. So I'm suppressing this matter now. I'm sure Honorable Hadebe who's got every right on behalf now of the ANC to have to say something because we've been drawn into partisan politics, which is not the construct of this committee.
It wasn't theatrics, Chairperson, it was facts.
Ma'am.
Chair, please.
Ma'am, just hold on, colleagues. Ma'am, let me assure you once again.
We can't be insulted
You
by
are going,
Ms.
just hold
here,
on.
Chair.
Just hold on.
It's not an insult, it's facts, Honorable Hattab.
Ma'am.
What is the fact?
Just Honorable Hattab, wait.
That this is the mess of the ANC-led government.
Honorable Hattab, just wait. Ma'am, I'm going to have to, in one way or the other, hold you in contempt of Parliament. I indicated that this meeting is a parliamentary meeting. If this is how you behave in the board, you're not going to behave like that here. And I know what cameras do. I know what they do. They do this. They derail us from the fundamental issues. And you know, the CEO has been at pains this morning to take us through these issues with a particular patience and just zooming into the issues. And that is why we're all sitting here listening and taking notes. He's not engaging in theatrics because that's what it is. That's what cameras do. So either you behave yourself or you excuse yourself from this meeting.
I'll excuse myself.
Yeah, I think you best do that.
I think I should also. Thank you.
I think you should. Yeah. Werner, you had wanted to leave at 11, and so you are engineering this thing. So
Yeah,
you can,
suits me just fine.
yeah, it does. And we'll be making fundamental recommendations about yourself and your very unprofessional conduct. It's, in fact, politics of the gutter as far as I'm concerned.